That's hilarious. Okay, with that said, I guess the other real topic from this week to cover is, did I get it right? UFC actually owns FC Submission or whatever the hell that one of their multiple purchases was, right? They own...
Yeah, they're still acquiring all kinds of pieces. You know, they're looking to fill out their TV schedule on, you know, their app. So they acquire all sorts of crazy things, put stuff on there. So if you don't have that app and you're looking for some content, I mean, for $10 a month, I think it's a steal.
So the reason I bring that up, Gary Tonin fought Dylan Dennis again.
Yep.
Now, being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, my sick fascination with those two. What is Dylan Dennis's problem with Gary Tonin? Like, first of all, he can't seem to beat him. But second of all, Dylan Dennis seems to be a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he comes off that way for sure. He seems very arrogant.
He's got that Diaz thing. He's really got that Diaz thing.
I don't really see that too often in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's more of an MMA type thing. But you know what? It's making it fun for the fans, like we were talking about last week. There's some jawing going on now. You got, it's some rivalries building, and it's good for the sport.
Well, and the reason I bring that up, there seems to be a trend right now, because for those of you listening and you don't know this, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is still we're on the second year or third year of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like the hot topic for guys in their 30s. Like, that's the sport you take if you're going to go to a gym and start something. And it's caused guys like, I saw it out of Drysdale, which blew my mind, Dennis. There's like this weird little collective of people trying to be outspoken in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community to get noticed. And I'm wondering if it's just a trend because it's such a hot topic right now. They're kind of riding on the mainstream eyes that are is there I think it's like a bounce back happening from McGregor Mayweather, so everybody's amped it up, including Dylan Dennis. I mean, it seems like everybody's turned it up just a little bit to get noticed.
Yeah, no, it's definitely they see what Conor McGregor was able to do. I mean, he goated the all-time great out of retirement via Twitter. It's a new age we're living in. We have a president who talks to his supporters via Twitter and bypasses the media. Social media, as you know even better than I do, is a very powerful tool. And if harnessed properly for these fighters, it's a really, really, it's a gold mine for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any other news of the week that I have missed besides Nunes? Like the topic of Cyborg and Nunes is just eating up social media. If they aren't talking about Mayweather-McGregor. And there doesn't seem to be anything new to be said on the topic of Mayweather-McGregor. It's just people speculating and taking sides.
And that's basically what it is at this point. Everything that's going to be said about that fight has been said, if not by us, then by somebody else. And now it's basically getting down to, the brass tacks of it and where you're going to lay your money, what you're going to wager on. Are you going to walk out of that arena a happy man that night? Is your wife going to kick you out because you spent too much money wagering, listening to us? Now that's what becomes interesting. The semantics of the fight, we all know what we're getting now. We know that it's the 8-ounce gloves. We know we got the kid from Ireland coming in who's just on welfare up until the last few years. We have Floyd, the greatest to ever do it. So we know all of that. But the interesting part now is where the money's going to go, how the number is going to move. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? So that's what I'm looking at from here on out.
All right, being a fan of the notorious MMA, what do I want to look at in his history? What events do I want to watch of his that make me want to be convinced of his greatness?
Well, you could watch both Diaz fights, like we discussed last week with Andrew, and like Andrew even said, Diaz is the kind of guy, he's gotten in there, he's sparred with Andre Ward over 12 times, and he's held his own. Diaz is a bigger man, very strong, great boxer, doesn't have he doesn't have too much power, but he puts them together, and when he puts them together, he becomes a very dangerous guy. So you could watch those two fights, and you could see how Conor McGregor stands against a bigger man getting hit with the smaller gloves. And then for to check out his power, I mean, the Eddie Alvarez fight is just telling on how strong this man is with that left hand. Eddie Alvarez is a tough dude. I mean, real tough dude. Golden Gloves champion, great boxer. And, Conor McGregor, he has that unorthodox footwork. So in that fight, he really puts that unorthodox footwork on display to open up the lane for that left to come in and crack him.
Outstanding. So what is your, if I'm going to watch one thing, what's your pick of the week to get me all fired up for the week?
For the Conor McGregor fight? Yeah. My pick of the week for that fight, like I said earlier, right now, I think that
No. I mean
video.
I meant video watching. I already know what your betting is. What video? If I'm going to watch one video, where if you were going to say just watch this, at least it'll make you raise an eyebrow.
I would have to say the Eddie Alvarez fight. In my opinion, that's the most impressive I've ever seen Conor McGregor. And like I'm on record saying it, I'm not a huge Conor McGregor fan by any means. But what you can't deny is the ability the kid has, where he's come from, what he's been able to accomplish. And even Stephen A. Smith was saying it on ESPN. Anyone who doesn't think that this kid has thunderous power in that left hand, they really haven't been paying attention, or they're selling him short.
Outstanding. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, in the world of MMA, we had Junior Dos Santos got popped for steroids. He's going to be off of that card.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Okay.
he says it's diuretics, but who we know what that means.
Right, and okay, so what does that mean for Junior Dos Santos, who already looks like he's 50 years old with a bad hairline? I mean, where does this leave him in the heavyweight division?
I have to tell you, I see a move to Bellator on the horizon after this contract is up. He's become a gatekeeper. He's too much money to be a gatekeeper. There's other guys in the division that can perform that role. And popping on a fight for a big fight like this that's coming up, that's no good. And the new owners in Dana, they're not going to be happy about it. And let me tell you who else isn't happy. Francis Ngannou, who his opponent, he is not happy. He is really letting everybody know that he's not happy, and he's calling out Alistair Overeem for a short notice fight to take Dos Santos' place. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Well, yeah, I don't know if he can get clean in time for that fight. Oh, did I say that out loud? Allegedly. But
come on, it's horse meat.
It's horse meat, right? Okay, so here's my question: the heavyweight division seems to be Swiss cheese in the UFC right now. What happened to the heavyweight division? Do they really lack having Brock? I mean, is it really just that simple? Do they need a superstar?
I think with the heavyweight division, it just comes down to a lack of talent, and you see it in organizations worldwide. In the old days, Pride had the greatest heavyweight division without a doubt. All those guys in their prime, from Fedor to Karatanov to Nogueira. I mean, it was a who's who, a murderer's row. UFC has always had a problem with its heavyweight division. I mean, there's been little stints, like you said, with a Brock Lesnar, and then you had like Randy Couture for a little while, and that brought some interest to it. But there's always been so much volatility in that division. And Stipe Miocic is, he's a tough fighter and all, but he doesn't have that persona that the heavyweight champion should have. Like, I'm the baddest dude in the world. I'm the heavyweight champ.
Yeah, it's been a problem. They've never had their Anderson Silva moment in the heavyweight division. They haven't had a long-term champion.
I think they're about to get that. I really have a funny feeling that Bones Jones has done all he's going to do at 205 soon. He's going to go up to heavyweight and clean that division out as well.
Well, today is SummerSlam, as you and I both know. And we're going to find out today whether or not Brock is staying in the UFC. They've pretty much set up the storylines. Interesting segue to talk about wrestling. But you and I both know that they've set the storylines up to allow him to go after Jones. So if Brock decides that he wants Jones, he's losing today. For those of you who don't get it, if Brock loses SummerSlam and loses his title, he is the current, for you MMA purists, he is the current WWE champion and getting paid $7 million a year to wrestle 5 times a year. So he's not an idiot. It's an awesome deal.
Smart man.
He's got the best deal out there. I don't know how Cena doesn't have that contract yet. But
serious.
It's the sweetheart deal of the year. So if he drops the title, I don't want to offend Vince McMahon and call it a strap or a belt. He drops the title. They've already set up storyline-wise that he's leaving the UFC. And that'll basically tell the tale. Do you think that Brock wants one more piece of the UFC?
Oh, absolutely. I think he wants payday, and I think he wants to fight Jones because I think he believes that his size and his bulk will be plenty to get Jones down and bust him up. I think he has another thing coming if he wants to fight John Jones. If he thought Alistair Overeem kicked him and destroyed his guts with the shot, wait till he sees what Bones Jones does.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, and I think the other big leading up to it, for those of you that really want to see a return of Brock, I know that within the last year he received his blue belt in jiu-jitsu. And that was a big fact that really got very little notice when I saw it actually float out there when he got his blue belt. But now you're talking about a very large man, blue belt level, plus his striking ability, plus his wrestling. That's a different Brock.
And you add to that what everybody seems to forget about Brock Lesnar, and something that I've never discounted or took lightly, is his athleticism. That's a gigantic man, and the way he moves and everything he's ever done, he's been successful at. I mean, the guy almost made the NFL, for God's sakes.
Right.
You know,
as
a walk-on, right. This guy's a great athlete, and I'll never put anything by him. But getting into the ring with a guy like John Jones, I think that would be the showcase fight for UFC and John Jones, to tell the world, hey, I'm here as a heavyweight. So I'd like to see him fight Brock Lesnar. If he does well, I'd like to see him move on, and I'd like to see something maybe like a Cain Velasquez even in his first fight at heavyweight. I think would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Strangely, my oddity would be in seeing Samoa Joe in the cage, but I guess I'll never get that. I want to see a black belt out of that particular. I know which Gracie facility he trains at, so I suspect that he's a legit badass killer. Letting people up. I think he could beat even. Tell me that there isn't money in a Joe versus Brock Lesnar in a cage match. The real deal.
Oh, definitely. 100%. There's so much money in those kind of fights. People don't understand. Like, you got some of these new MMA fans who they weren't around for the Pride days, and it wasn't just the great fighters fighting each other. It was the sideshow events that we were enjoying as well. The circus fights were so much fun in Pride. People forget that.
MSG this week got announced that they're going to get Corey versus Dillashaw one more time. They're getting the sequel on November the 4th. Announced this week. Huge fight. Yep. I'm a huge fan of Dillashaw. I don't know what to say about Corey because I don't understand his style, because he's not. Dillashaw, along with Johnson, fight what I call the UFC rule style, where they actually understand the math of how to win.
Right.
You know, that bounce in, bounce out, shoot the takedown, get up, shoot in, shoot out, takedown, where they're actually working the point system to win. And when I say that to people, they look at me and go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I said, "It's a style. That's a thing."
Oh yeah.
Johnson does it. Dillashaw does it. There are a couple of guys who do it really well. The rest of them either want to get you on the ground and show you what belt they own, or stand you up against the cage and try to beat the crap out of you. There are a handful of guys that actually understand this in and out hyper boxing. It almost reminds me of like a young Manny Pacquiao style boxing wise. That jump in, jump out.
It's almost like point karate as well, the way they get in and get out.
That's a really good explanation of it. What would I expect out of a Corey and TJ Dillashaw going at it one more time, or am I getting the same thing again?
I think that the Dillashaw Garbrandt fight, it's a pretty interesting fight. I think that Garbrandt's really taken himself seriously lately. He's really bought into his own hype. He's kind of a douche, to be honest with you.
Here's the question: is he becoming a Conor McGregor to get a Conor McGregor?
I don't think so. It's a different kind of douchiness. Like, Conor McGregor's actually kind of funny when he's talking trash. Cody Garbrandt just comes off like the frat boy who's never gotten laid or something. He's just kind of douchey. I just don't dig it. And I'm not a Dillashaw fan either, but he's pushed me into the Dillashaw camp, and I want Dillashaw to win this fight.
Dillashaw has no personality whatsoever. I mean... No,
but you know what? I'd rather that than somebody running around acting like he's, held the belt for 10 years. This guy's acting like he can't be beat. I just don't dig the way he carries himself. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I'm interested in the fight. I saw the first one. I was excited. Weren't they on a... They were on the last time they fought was the end of Ronda's career, right?
Actually, Dillashaw and
they were the
Garbrandt have never fought. They've never fought. This will be their first fight.
Who did Garbrandt take see, this will tell you how far out of the... Who did Cody take the belt off of?
Dominic Cruz.
Dominic Cruz, forgive me. Everybody's listening going, hey, I'm just getting back in the loop. Everybody calm down. That's why Bobby's here. Jesus Christ. Like, I'll get tweets about that. You don't know shit about MMA. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah, There's so many people that know so much from their